Good evening, Miles and CMF. Tor, good to see you as well. How you doing? Piers, good to see you as well. How you doing? Evening. Hi, Miles and family. Troy, good to see you as well. How you doing? JP, good to see you as well. How you doing? What's up, brother Miles and CMF? Billo, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been, brother? Also, thank you so much to everyone that's retweeting this live show right now. Honestly, thank you so much to everyone that's retweeting this live show. It does really help at the beginning of the live show to spread it out. I can see all the retweets, notifications. Thanks so much to everyone. So, Dennis, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Good evening, Miles and CMF. Free and forever. Good to see you as well. How you been? XRP news. We do have Ripple news to go through today regarding XRP. Good evening, Miles and family. Manny, good to see you as well. How you doing? Hey, Miles, what's up? Kelly, good to see you as well. How you doing? Good, bro. Let's go, Billo. Gladly, mate. Let's go, Dale. How you doing? Good evening, Professor Miles and CMF students. How you doing, Frankie, brother? Good to see you as well. Stormy, good to see you as well. How you doing, Stormy? How you been? Comatose, hello, Miles and CMF. Good to see you as well. How you doing, Comatose? Hi, Miles and CMF. George, good to see you as well. How you been? Today we have a lot of news to cover on tonight's live show. We have news ranging from BTC ETFs to Ripple to SEC to Ethereum to Germany. So much news to cover from different aspects. CZ news, Binance news, different topics to go through. Sploice, good to see you as well. How you doing? Evening, Miles. Paul, good to see you as well. How you doing, Paul? How you been? Paul, I saw you messaged me as well. I'll reply back to you after this live show. Apologies about the late reply. Hello, CMF. How you doing, Spools? Hello, friends. Messi, good to see you as well. How you doing? Why is the market so quiet at the moment? Well, the market should be picking up as we go a little bit more into essentially next month. The market should be picking up slightly. Kamal, good to see you as well, brother. How you doing? And also regarding the market being quiet, there were movements inside the market space. Even though the market was slightly quiet, there were purchasing going on regarding, for example, to go from tonight's live show as well, Michael Saylor has been purchasing quite a bit of Bitcoin. The data has just been revealed, even at these prices. Pure, good to see you as well. How you doing? Evening. Also, genuinely mean it. Thank you so much to everybody that's been retweeting this live show right now at the beginning of this live show. Thank you so much to everyone. Ian, good evening, Miles and family. Good to see you as well. How you doing, Ian? How you been? I'm enjoying these XRP sales. Let's go, Stormy. Good evening, Miles and CMF. Denise, good to see you as well. How you doing? Is Judge Torres still the judge for Ripple SEC case, or is it Judge Netburn? Slightly both, I would have to say. Which year did you come into crypto? Early days regarding Ripple times, so XRP times is when I came into the market space. So early XRP, when XRP is basically below a cent. So by the time everybody joins in, so it's around 2011, 12 times basically. Evening, Miles of CMF. Jason, good to see you as well. How you doing? So, before we, by the time everybody joins in, we'll go through the gist of what we're going to talk about, and obviously we do the disclaimer of the live show as well. Today we have so much news to cover regarding Ripple Labs, regarding Binance, regarding CZ, Binance, MicroStrategy, Germany, CBDC news, regulation news, Congress news, this BTC ETF and Ethereum ETF news, AVAX news. We have so much different types of news to cover with a lot of data to go through as well on tonight's live show, even regarding US senators, regarding Tether news. Tether's been looked into again. Stripe news, Morgan Stanley news, more filings are going on. There is a lot of things. Raoul Pol news regarding him giving his market perspectives on how he thinks the market will play out and how much of a massive market space is going to be cut. There's so much news to cover on tonight's live show. It's absolutely crazy. We have banking news, CBDC news, BTC news, Ethereum news, CZ news, Binance news, Stripe news, AVAX news. A lot of things to cover on tonight's live show. So, before we start this live show, I just want to say, if you are new, you're watching this live show for the first time ever, it's called the CMF live show, where we cover essentially what's happening around the world regarding recent news that came out inside the crypto space. We talk about cryptocurrencies, blockchain in general, CBDCs, and politics as well, because it plays into every single market aspects regarding any sort of market space we're in, especially the crypto space. And we also do Q&As, which means if you have any questions, put it down inside the comment section. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you may have. The disclaimer of this live show, as always, is not financial advice, not political advice, and whatever I say is only for entertainment purposes. So, welcome to the CMF live show, everyone. If you are new and if you're a regular, let's go CMF. And we do have a lot of news to cover on tonight's live show from all market aspects to go through. Now, evening, Miles. Jason, good to see you as well. How you doing? Let's go through the comment section before we get to the first news. And is it true the judge will make a decision in May? It is true, yes. The judge will have to make some sort of judgment on May. Below 1 cent, that's sick. Yep. Regulation news, hence why Ripple is my number one bag, because I came into the crypto space early Ripple days. Below 1 cent as again. Regulation news, yeah, we do have regulation news that goes through as well. Iman, good to see you as well. How you doing? Good evening, Miles and all CMF. How you been? Hyper Sniper, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you all doing today? I'm doing great. How you been, Iman? Hong Kong ETF tomorrow. I heard London ETF 28th of May. That's an interesting one. That must be just speculation. If it's not, that's good news. Now, first news to go through on tonight's live show is regarding the Ripple versus SEC. And then we're going to work our way into the BTC ETF news and the Morgan Stanley news and Ethereum news and the CZ news and CBDC news and so much news to go through on tonight's live show. But the first news we're going to be covering on tonight's live show is regarding Ripple versus SEC, because there still is a big, essentially, big movements inside the crypto space. Ripple versus SEC lawsuit update. Key expectations for XRP investors this week. So if you're holding XRP, this is something you should know about. The legal battle between Ripple Labs and the United Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, has recently progressed to trial, attracting attention from cryptocurrency community. The Judge Sarah Netburn has established a timeline for the ongoing lawsuit between Ripple Labs and the SEC, according to Crypto News Flash earlier today. This schedule is crucial regarding Ripple's attempt to dismiss the SEC's latest expert evidence. Judge Netburn has granted the SEC an extension until April 29th, which is today, technically, 2024, to file their judgments to Ripple's motion. Ripple will then have 3 business days to reply. Despite her recent appointment as district judge in essentially the Southern District of New York, Judge Netburn remains the presiding judge in the Ripple versus SEC case. Judge Netburn is known for her impartial decisions. The crypto community has generally viewed her approach positively. In 2021, she stated this. Just in perspective of, is this judge, the new judge for Ripple versus SEC regarding this motion, is she good for the crypto space? Is she good for Ripple Labs? And so on. This is something that she essentially said a very long time ago in 2021. The judge right now that's overlooking Ripple versus SEC, this is what she said in 2021. This judge, word for word. In 2021, she stated, my understandings about XRP is that not only does it have a currency value, but it has a utility, and that utility essentially separates itself from Bitcoin and Ethereum. That's what she said in 2021, and now she's the judge overlooking this motion. The exact words. She said, my understanding about XRP is that not only does it have a currency value, but it has utility, and the utility separates itself from Bitcoin and Ethereum. That's what she said in 2021, and she's the one looking over the judge. It's really not looking good for the SEC or Gary Gensler right now. Ripple challenges SEC penalties. Ripple has challenged the SEC's request for substantial civil penalties, arguing that the SEC's allegations lack adequate evidence. The blockchain payments company has proposed a maximum penalty of $10 million, countering the SEC's deemed for a hefty fine. Ripple condensed that on the on-demand liquidity ODL transactions, which enables cross-border payments, are distinct from traditional investments and should not be subject to same regulatory scrutiny. Ripple also addresses the absence of evidence supporting further violations or reckless behavior in institutional XRP sales. Further strengthening its defense, Bill Morgan, Ripple's representative, has argued that the ODL sales do not constitute investment contracts and should not be treated as by the SEC. He emphasizes that customers use XRP for its utility in facilitating rapid, essentially cross-border transactions rather than investment purposes. Despite the challenges, there remains optimism among XRP supporters for a settlement, anticipating a potential surge in cryptocurrency price post-settlement. Additionally, Bill Morgan, echoed this sentiment, predicting a rise to $1 from the current 50 cents level that Ripple is sitting at. However, settling hinges are overcoming the regulatory hurdles set forth by the SEC, which continues to complicate negotiations. Legal expert Jeremy Hogan predicts that the lawsuit could conclude by this summer, so essentially speculating a potential settlement of $100 million. Hogan suggests that I believe the judge will order a notice judgment, essentially, but will throw the SEC a bone by imposing a $100 million penalty on Ripple. Now, that is his essentially opinion on this matter. Earlier demands are upcoming filings. Previously, the SEC had demanded a $2 billion fine from Ripple, citing violations in certain XRP sales. However, Ripple maintains that the XRP should not be classified as a security and falls outside of the SEC's regulatory scope, which is true. According to Ripple Labs and their own CEO, essentially Ripple registered itself in Singapore under Singaporean law is when they were essentially distributing their XRP, not from the United States. Therefore, technically, it does fall outside of the scope of the SEC if we do look at it from a legal perspective. Now, officers has presented several key reasons why the penalty should not exceed $10 million, highlighting the lack of evidence financial harm. The SEC's reply brief due by May 6 is poised to further shape the market expectations. A compelling response from the SEC could heighten anticipation and prove measures against Ripple, potentially impacting XRP's value. So that's the first news we went for on tonight's live show. And that's what she essentially said regarding Ripple Labs in 2021. In 2021, she said XRP has essentially seized the XRP value. I mean, it's generally not looking good for Gary Gensler and the SEC at all. They haven't won even once against Ripple Labs. And by the looks of it, the new judge is also not in favor of Gary Gensler. But, this day and age, who is in favor of Gary Gensler? Pretty much nobody. I mean, Gary Gensler was caught on camera once saying, so after the first resolution, if anybody doesn't remember or hasn't seen this part, after the first resolution regarding the Ripple versus SEC case, Gary Gensler was caught on camera by a news anchor. And, the news journalist said to Gary Gensler, what do you think about the verdict of Ripple Labs and so on, winning against the SEC? And Gary Gensler said, I don't care about any judge. It's what my opinion is that counts. So you can tell why judges aren't really a big fan of the SEC or Gary Gensler, because he was caught on camera saying he doesn't care about the judge's verdict. It's his verdict that matters, not the judges. Yeah. One other reason why judges don't like Gary Gensler, and it is true regarding decision will be made mid-year. So let's go through the comment section before we go to the next news. A lot of news to cover on tonight's live show. What up, Miles and family? Hope all is well, though. Ray, good to see you as well. How you doing, brother? How you doing? Let's go. Hong Kong ETF tomorrow. I heard on the so the case should be over in May. Well, I said 2 weeks after is what we're looking at, most likely. But Ripple was lucky with their two. Okay, that was a weird one. We'll carry on like this instead of the green screen. I was going to put some things up on the green screen, but we'll carry on like this instead. I was going to put some things behind me on the green screen, but never mind. We'll carry on like this instead because I think the platform is lagging out again. If you are tuning in this for the first time ever, we're live right now on both, essentially, on YouTube and X at the same time. You're tuning this for the first time. You're back, Miles? Yes, I am. We're going to carry on like this without the green screen. I was going to put some stuff on the green screen behind us, but never mind. Because I think the platform can't handle the situation going on forward right now. Can you hear me? I can. Yes, you're back, Miles. Yes, let's go. That's what she said. Good evening, Miles and everyone. How you doing, Seraphic? Good to see you as well. Morning, Miles and CMF. Shelly, good to see you as well. How you doing? NCase around summertime, most likely. She even said SEC is a hypocrite. That is also, yes, true. So the judge, Taurus, is not president now. Sorry, come late. Yeah. Right now, we have the other judge going forward with the situation. Can Gary Gensler ask to have this judge removed before the trial, as she is biased towards Ripple Labs? Can Gary Gensler ask to have the judge removed before the trial as she's biased towards Ripple Labs? He can, but it won't succeed. And this judge will carry on. 2 weeks after when? May 6th is the original thing that I said essentially as well. Troy, we're back. Let's go. Funky Brother, we're back. You're back, Miles. Let's go. Can you hear? Yes, I can. Strange. Yes. Good evening, Miles and family. Good to see you as well, Irfan. How you been? How you doing? Yeah, we're going to carry on like this because I think the green screen situation is making the platform lag out. Essentially, there's bugs within the green screen. So I have to look into that. Now, carrying on forward on tonight's live show. We also have regarding Binance news to go through, which is the next part of the live show. So Binance situation is expanding quite a bit right now. So CZ might be looking at a three-year prison sentence, essentially. Apologies about that. So CZ might be looking at a 3-year sentence, possibly. So Binance battle legal hurdles in Canada and faces charges in the United States. Binance, the prominent cryptocurrency exchange, is grappling with significant legal issues in 2 continents. In North America, it faces a class action lawsuit in Canada where it accused of violating local security laws. Yes, right now there are 2 main situations going on for Binance. It's not just Binance and USA, it's also Canada and Binance as well. There's 2 situations technically going on. So, currently inside the United States, Binance CEO CZ, also known as CZ, faces a proposed incarceration following charges of breaching anti-money laundering, essentially regulations. Meanwhile, the Philippines has also taken a string of regulatory actions against the platform, further complicating its operational landscape. Binance's legal woes in Canada. The Ontario Superior Court of Justice is reviewing a class action lawsuit against Binance for allegedly selling cryptocurrency derivatives to Canadians without the necessary registrations. Plaintiffs seek essentially, and a lot of people are essentially seeking money from Binance because they were able to do derivatives, essentially futures and so on, and now they want their money back from Binance. And essentially stressing that many Canadians are engaged in these derivatives offerings via Binance platform. Meanwhile, in the Philippines, the Securities and Exchange Commission has compelled major digital storefronts like Google Play and Apple Play's App Store to delist the Binance app, accusing the firm of selling unregistered securities and operating without a proper brokerage license. This move aims to essentially prevent potential economic movements due to the unregulated financial activities. So Binance is having difficulties in Canada, in the US, and in Philippines right now at the exact same time, while CZ is having difficulties also. US legal challenges and potential consequences for CZ. Inside the United States, federal prosecutors recommend a 36-month prison sentence for CZ, citing severe violations of anti-money laundering status. They argue that the substantial penalties alongside a $50 million fine should sufficiently counterweight the infractions without being overly punitive. These developments mark a significant crackdown on regulatory compliance within the crypto sector. Binance legal challenges could impact its operations and user trust significantly. The stringent regulatory actions in 3 jurisdictions underline the increasing global scrutiny on cryptocurrency exchanges. Investors and users of Binance should monitor these legal situations closely, as they may influence the stability and functionality of the platform. As legal battles unfold, the cryptocurrency market watches closely, particularly movements in Binance's native token, BNB, which has recently seen a price dip. The outcome of these cases could provide a precedent of how international law treats similar cryptocurrency violations in the future. So one by one, every country is turning against Binance. Interesting, you know. At the exact same time, that CZ is about to be looking at a 3-year prison sentence, pretty much. Now, I think at least, they're not giving CZ a ridiculous life sentence type of situation like FTX. I mean, FTX's situation, even though FTX did deserve it, I mean, it's very different. CZ's situation is very different, obviously, to FTX and Sam Beckman. Sam Beckman was genuinely stealing from people. CZ was never stealing from people. was for transparency. He just didn't have the right licensings. Essentially, very different scenarios. So it's okay that they're not going to be given him 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, something ridiculous. It's 3 years is what he's technically looking at, which is still not great, but it's better than what they're dishing out to other people essentially inside the crypto space. So if he does only get 3 years, he should be out very soon. Now, going in, Nigeria is after Binance too. Yes, that's true. I talked about Nigeria as well, how they actually are after Binance as well. 2 executives from Binance were arrested inside of the Nigerian airport. When Nigeria's government invited these Binance people over, these executives, they actually arrested them inside the airport and blamed their country's valuation on their currency on these Binance executives, which has no resemblance whatsoever. Nigeria's currency doesn't have value or face value because of the Nigerian government, not because of Binance executives in any sort of a way. They just saw that the US was going to squeeze $4 billion out of Binance, so Nigeria thought they can squeeze some money out of Binance also. And essentially that's what's happening to a lot of countries around the world. My brother, do you think the case will be over in May? Thank you. Possibility. There's a possibility, not guaranteed, but a possibility. Now, next news to go through. Even though Bitcoin is, relatively not cheap, it is a bit lower than it was sitting at its top value, face value points when essentially Bitcoin did new heights because of the Bitcoin ETFs and so on. MicroStrategy has still been buying Bitcoin, even at these prices. MicroStrategy buys even more Bitcoin, pushing a stash to $13.5 billion. Michael Saylor's software firm, MicroStrategy, brought the dip, expanding its enormous pile of Bitcoin with more than 1% of the total supply in hand. MicroStrategy, the largest corporate holder of Bitcoin, is again buying the dip. On Monday, the software firm and Bitcoin development company announced its Q1, essentially 2024 financial results, and took the opportunity to essentially to note that it has purchased even more Bitcoin since the end of March, aimed at rough weeks for the crypto markets. MicroStrategy purchased 122 additional Bitcoins for a total value of $7.8 million between April 1st and April 26th, according to a report. While that's a smaller than many of the company's previous BTC buys over the last years, and a drop in the ocean compared to its overall stash, it does push the size of the company's holdings to an all-time new peak. As of Friday, MicroStrategy holds 214,400 Bitcoins, or $13.5 billion worth of Bitcoin at its current price of the asset. It's also more than 1% of the total supply of Bitcoin that will ever be created, with nearly 19.7 million BTC of the total 21 million supply currently circulating. Even with Bitcoin falling more than $10,000 from its recent all-time high price of $73,000 plus set in March, the firm is very much in the green and is gradually growing investments. The cost basis of MicroStrategy's Bitcoin holdings currently sits at $35,180 per coin, according to a press release, while the current price of BTC, according to CoinGecko, is around $63,000. MicroStrategy's founder and chairman, Michael Saylor, is one of the most outspoken Bitcoin bulls in the corporate world. Not only did he pivot his company's focus to Bitcoin, but he also frequently posted laser-eyed Bitcoin memes and conducts interviews with regarding the asset. So even at these prices, Michael Saylor was buying Bitcoin because, as I said previously, market's just going to be going higher and higher and higher and higher, obviously with pullbacks and corrections, but we are shifting into utility as we speak. Day by day, more institutions, day by day, more regulations, day by day, more banks, day by day, more licensings. These are all adding up together regarding utility. And then obviously we have BlackRock regarding the so amount of funds they're opening. Also, we have Morgan Stanley news to go through as well, where Morgan Stanley today has decided to file for their Bitcoin ETFs as well to get access to them, which we'll go through on tonight's live show as well. While everybody's telling you to sell inside the crypto world, everybody inside the crypto space regarding crypto influencers, and the majority of crypto influencers, as everybody else, is telling you the market's going to dump, jump out while you can. Michael Saylor, billionaire Michael Saylor, intelligent, very intelligent person, also, essentially a Bitcoin company, starting his MicroStrategy company into a Bitcoin company, building on the Bitcoin network. He's been buying this month he brought an additional $7.8 million of Bitcoin this month, while the majority of the crypto space is telling you to jump out. Just put it in perspective. A bill combining, actually before we do this, let's go for the comment section. So also, by the way, if you have any comments, put down inside the comment section. I'll be more than happy to help you out on regarding any questions you may have. So most likely in the case of May 6th, yep, Ray, let's go, my brother. Do you think this case will be over in May? Possibility in Nigeria? Yes, Binance. Australia BTC ETF live soon. That's also very true as well. Australia is coming out with the BTC ETFs as well. Facts, Miles. Let's go, Ian. Okay, now, regarding the next news to go from tonight's live show. Who saw this one coming? Republic rep French Hill has actually came out and said that he will pass the crypto bill or stablecoin bill alongside another bill. So a bill combining marijuana, backing and banking and stablecoins. Top Republican French Hill says he would vote for it. Bloomberg did the interview. So according to French Hill, who is a Republican rep, he said the three bills I want to pass. The number one bill I want to pass is the marijuana bill. The second bill I want to pass is the marijuana, essentially banking bill situation. And the third bill I want to pass altogether is the stablecoin bill. He wants to put these into three bills and pretty much sign them all off. The crypto-friendly top Republican rep, French Hill, would support a legislative package that includes both a bill to regulate stablecoins and another one focused on marijuana bankings. It's because a lot of banks don't support marijuana businesses. Hill, who currently leads the House Financial Services Subcommittee focused on digital assets, said he would vote for such a bill, as lawmakers say they are getting closer to crafting a final stablecoin bill. He said word for word, "I would vote for it if it were coupled." Hill told Bloomberg on Monday, which was today, "I have supported the Safe Banking Act for 9 years in Congress now, which would allow cannabis dealers in states where it's legal to have access to the banking systems. I think it's a lot easier to catch bad actors and illegal activity if these companies are participating in the banking systems." So he's saying essentially, he's comparing the crypto space to the medication space, essentially. He's comparing the crypto space to marijuana. And this, particular Republican person, he's comparing the crypto space to marijuana and saying the same way, essentially, a lot of marijuana businesses don't have access to banks and therefore there's too much illegal activities going on. If the crypto space had access to banks, then it become much more a mature place inside the crypto space and less illegal activities going on. So he said, I want a bill to sign with both of them on it. One, to pass the banking for marijuana, and two, to pass the bill for the banking system to be working with the crypto space regarding regulations to come forward. So a stablecoin bill is likely to be included in a larger legislative package. Lawmakers, including House Financial Services Committee Chair Patrick McHenry, RNC, Ranking Democrat Maxine Waters, DCAF, and Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, have reportedly discussed attaching the bill to upcoming Federal Aviation Administration reauthorization, which could accompany cannabis legalization as well, that must pass. Reauthorization is up against a May 10th deadline. On May 10th, we could have a stablecoin bill passed fully inside the United States. Including marijuana banking and stablecoins in the FAA bill is a call that leadership has to make, Hill told Bloomberg. I think there are other ways that we can do it during the course of the year, Hill added. If compromise is reached on combining a marijuana banking with stablecoins, it could face an uphill climb with the House Speaker Mike Johnson, RLA, who has repeatedly opposed the marijuana banking bill, according to multiple news reports. McHenry and Waters have been working on a bill to rein in the stablecoins for almost a year. Waters told Bloomberg last week she and McHenry were on the way to getting a stablecoin bill to the short run. I think ranking members Waters is correct that we're close to completing a work together on the payment stablecoin bill that will protect consumers and enhance innovation here in the United States and make US more competitive, he told Bloomberg. On the other hand, in the past has been who would be the primary regulator for stablecoin issuers. The federal government or state regulators. Last summer, Waters called the stablecoin bill deeply programmatic due to the provision that allows state regulators to approve stablecoin issuance without Federal Reserve input. It is unclear whether it has been resolved on the state side. Senators Christian Gilbert and New York and Senator Cynthia Lummis introduced a stablecoin bill earlier this month with a provision to create federal and state regulatory regimes for stablecoin issuers that preserves the dual banking systems. Especially, the bill creates a cap allowing state trust companies to create and issue payment stablecoins up to $10 billion. Hill is also vying to lead the Financial House Services Committee as chair following retirement of the current chairman, Mick Henry, next year. So those are the two things he's trying to pass at the exact same time. The stablecoin bill, which is needed for the crypto space, and by May 10th, we could have the stablecoin bill passed inside the United States, but also the marijuana banking. He's trying to wrap it up into one bill. Now, I could see some sort of comparison because, there's also illegal activities going on that side. So, comparing it to the crypto space, but it's an odd comparison. All facts though, bro. Don't trip. Buy the dip. Let's go, Ray. Good day, Shady. How are you keeping? Miles, do you feel it's all planned to bring Binance down even more to get everyone into Coinbase? Does seem to be like that. Yes, it does seem to be, essentially to bring Binance down even more to get Coinbase on a much more higher ranking place. Definitely. But I mean, the last step should be, them getting CZ out of the way. If they really want to take down Binance, it will definitely cause a ripple effect inside the market space without a doubt. Yes. Now, next news to go from tonight's live show. 2 executives from giant Chinese companies talk about tomorrow's Bitcoin and Ethereum spot ETFs. At a recent press briefing, Zhu Hongqing, the head of digital asset management and family wealth at China's AMC, shared his views ahead of the launch of the Hong Kong spot Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs tomorrow. So technically today, because it's 01. Wayne Hong, the head of ETFs and custody at cryptocurrency exchange OSL, also attended the briefings. Zhu expressed confidence that the initial listing scale of Hong Kong's virtual asset spot ETF, worth more than $125 million, could exceed the first day issuance scale in the United States. He was referring to the $125 million issuance scale of the 10 US Bitcoin spot ETF issuers on the first day of January 10th this year. So essentially, Hong Kong's ETF, the anticipation regarding Hong Kong's ETFs is they're going to be smashing records on the first day compared to the Bitcoin ETFs that happen inside the United States on the first day. But obviously, we know what happened inside the United States on the first day. Grayscale was the downfall of that entire ETF right at the beginning. There's no Grayscale right now in Hong Kong to slow down the progress, so they could be smashing targets day, first day in, essentially, regarding the ETF for Bitcoin and Ethereum in Hong Kong. Now, Zhu also expressed his beliefs that essentially Hux will be the largest ETF issuer among the 3 issuers. Differences between ETFs. Zhu also pointed out that the differences between spot China Bitcoin ETFs, spot China Ethereum ETFs, and other ETFs. The first difference is that compared to the US spot Bitcoin ETF, they have a spot and physical subscriptions and redemptions, which the US spot Bitcoin ETF does not. Access for China mainland investors. Now, there is this thing going around where essentially China's mainland, retail section won't have access to the Bitcoin ETFs in Hong Kong. So currently, investors in mainland China are not allowed to invest in Hong Kong's cryptocurrency spot ETFs, according to Zhu. Not confirmed. Hong Kong's qualified investors, institutional investors, individual investors, and regulated international investors can all invest into cryptocurrency spot ETFs. Now, there is one way to get around regarding this Zhu situation, essentially, regarding this ETF situation. There is one way to get around it regarding Chinese investors investing into Hong Kong's ETF, which is where the real money is. any sort of Chinese citizens that have residency or permanence or essentially Hong Kong passports can technically invest into this. So any Chinese businesses that are operating inside of Hong Kong will have access to this Bitcoin ETF. So for even if Zoo is correct, let's just say for this instance Zoo is correct, mainland China is not allowed, anybody from the retail section is not allowed to invest into these Bitcoin ETFs from China, and only Hong Kong citizens. But then there's also a lot of Chinese people that are Hong Kong citizens that have residencies essentially, or passports, or operating a business in Hong Kong, which means they can have access to it. So there is always a way around it. And to also put it in perspective, the two Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs that have essentially been passed, they're Chinese companies in Hong Kong. So yes, the Chinese people will have access to it. And this is regarding Zoo's perspective of they won't have access to it. But the two ETFs that were passed are actually Chinese companies that were passed in Hong Kong, which is an explanation of other companies that are also operating in Hong Kong, which are most likely Chinese companies, will have access to it. So technically, China will have access to it. There's always a way. It's a multi-billion-dollar business and it's getting the country off the opposite. Yeah. Is there any ETFs for Zoo tokens? No, there's no ETFs for Zoo tokens. The guy's name is Zoo, not essentially Zoo tokens. But no, there's no ETFs for Zoo tokens. Now, also to go, apologies about that. Also to go more on this, impacts of US regulations. When asked about the potential impact of the United States designation of the Ethereum as a security of Hong Kong's Ethereum spot ETF, Wayne Hung stated that it would likely not impact the ETF. He explained that Hong Kong's Securities Regulatory Commission has its own procedures to determine whether a particular virtual asset is a security, whether it can be open to individual investors. Zhu concluded by stating that based on the analysis of various factors, they believe that cryptocurrency ETFs will be beneficial essentially to cryptocurrency prices. So Hong Kong essentially stating that according to their own regulators, even if Gary Gensler, the SEC, tomorrow turns around, for example, Ethereum is a security, Hong Kong's regulators already have said, we don't care. And according to Hong Kong's regulators, they've actually said, we don't care. If essentially, Gary Gensler turns around tomorrow, the day after, or the next week, or the next month, or whenever, he turns around, if he does, and if he doesn't, says, Ethereum is a security, Hong Kong's regulators said, we don't care, our ETF will still be in place, and essentially what we say is what we say, what they say is what they say. How big will the, let's go to the comment section before we go to the next news. How big will the Hong Kong ETF be in your opinion versus US BTC ETFs? Well, this is what I said regarding Hong Kong's ETF, regarding BTC and Ethereum ETFs regarding Hong Kong. I said it will take at least, 2 weeks for it to mature. I think it will take at least for 2 weeks or a month for it to mature, and then we could see the real price movers coming in. Now, off the bat, because of the excitement, there could be a lot of money entering it without a doubt, and they could break some records because, again, Grayscale is not in Hong Kong to slow them down, because that's what slowed down the American market space at the beginning regarding Grayscale. So they can break records right off the bat. But I said it's going to take at least 2 weeks minimum. 2 weeks minimum for it to mature, to move forward. But the excitement right off the bat could also push it as well. So there are two aspects to think about regarding that, two outcomes. Either way, 2 weeks in or straight off the bat, it's good news all around, because it's definitely pushing the market to new heights. And another thing that's good news regarding Hong Kong's Bitcoin ETF and Ethereum ETF, they were a lot more quicker. Okay, Bitcoin regarding Bitcoin ETFs and Ethereum ETFs, Hong Kong was incredibly quick on getting everything checked out, giving it the green light, launching the ETFs. Inside the United States, it took 10 years for the Bitcoin ETF to come about, and then now we have Ethereum trying to battle for its dignity on if it's a security or not, its categorization. Hong Kong passed Bitcoin and ETF, which means other ETFs could be much more easily passed in Hong Kong. And according to many CEOs and executives around the world from different major institutions, more ETFs are obviously on the way. So knowing that Hong Kong is a country that essentially passes ETFs relatively so quickly, expect a lot more ETFs coming out of Hong Kong as well, which is good in general for the entire market space. not just for Bitcoin and Ethereum. So before we go to the next news, let me look at the comment sections. If there's any comments to go through, BTC's pumping a bit. Okay, let's go messy. Asia Live Crypto. They always create some problems. For the US, it was grayscale, and for Hong Kong, mainland restrictions. Yeah, but there's also a way to get around that restriction, which is just to be registered essentially inside of Hong Kong, and you can pretty much get a green light. Hong Kong was quick because they knew there is not much BTC left on the market, which is also a fair point, left in the market, and they will have to buy it all, which is a fair point. Even you mentioned that there is a way around it, but still probably only 0.1% of Chinese would be eligible. Yes, but we don't care about we don't care about the retail section, because the retail section has no money. We care about the actual investors that are operating as a Chinese business in Hong Kong. They're the ones we care about, because if there's a Chinese business operating in Hong Kong, which there is, the two ETFs that were passed were Chinese companies. The two ETFs that are coming out of Hong Kong, they're Chinese companies in Hong Kong. So, which means there's an incredible list of Chinese companies in Hong Kong, which means money can enter from China's mainland to these Chinese companies, and these Chinese companies operating in Hong Kong can invest in the ETFs. That's what we care about. We care about the institutional money, not the retail money. Retail money is not regulated. Retail money is not coordinated. Remember that. We care about the institutional money. And the money being funneled in through the Chinese companies into the Bitcoin ETFs operating essentially in Hong Kong is what's going to be happening. That's the loophole they're going to be using. All those Chinese businesses. Now, the next news to go from tonight's live show is this. US SEC slammed by lawmakers over misleading Ethereum security tag. SEC Chairman Gary Gensler instance categorization of Ethereum as a security has attracted a comment from American attorney lawmaker Thomas Emmer. The United States representatives perceives a hint of dishonesty and the lack of clear stance on the matter. The SEC accused regulatory dishonesty, according to Fox Business reporter Eleanor Terrett. Her conversation with Emmer, essentially on the recent court filings from Congress, led to subject of Ethereum categorization. Tom Emmer pointed out to the fact that the Securities and Exchange Commission (SEC) employs several means to avoid gaining a clearer answer to Congress on whether Ethereum ETFs is a security or a commodity in 2023. Therefore, it was quite unclear what exact time frame behind the Commission's alleged grouping of Ethereum as a security it was. This lack of clarity caused multiple entities to voice their essentially displeasures at the time. Even the CFTC discarded with the SEC, citing that Ethereum should fall under commodities like Bitcoin and essentially BTC. Regarding the CFTC, they're highly against the SEC. They're very against Gary Gensler. The CFTC still sees Ethereum as not a security, even though Gary is in the middle of is it a security or not a security. The CFTC has said a few times that Ethereum is not a security. So, however, Tom Emmer said that newly released documents claimed the regulatory's enforcement team was essentially very direct in their stance on Ethereum's security status. It is essentially worth acknowledging that these documents surfaced only a few weeks ago before the SEC chairman had his congressional testimony whether he took a stance as Ethereum through is a security by all standards. The majority whip of the United States House of Representatives described this act from Gensler's SEC and its enforcement team as regulatory dishonesty, which should be condemned. Essentially, Emmer noted that such an act is harmful to investors, and even as the US leadership, it's tainting our great capital markets, harming investors, and threatening US global leadership, Emmer said. Consensus and SEC Ethereum lawsuit to focus on categorization. The SEC's categorization of Ethereum as a security is believed to be the reasoning, essentially being the delay in receiving approval from the Commission on numerous spot Ethereum ETF applications that were essentially submitted by BlackRock, Fidelity, and other investment asset management firms. Unfortunately, this led to newly investigated Consensus versus SEC lawsuit. By March, the SEC received a comment letter from Consensus in Advocacy for Ethereum ETF approvals. The firm also emphasized the altcoin security features and argued the SEC's recognition amidst market anticipation about a month later. The Ethereum developers served the SEC a suit on the same matter in the District Court of the Northern District Court of Texas. In the latest court filings, the bone of contention is now to establish the time frame of when the SEC categorically said Ethereum was a security. The verdict at the end of this lawsuit is crucial to the crypto ecosystem, seeing that a victory for the commission could cripple the entire landscape of Ethereum, not the entire crypto space. But yes, it's true. Gary Gensler, as we said before, Gary Gensler is going to be, first has to categorize what is Ethereum and then give it the ETF green light. And this was essentially what was mentioned by Eric as well. Eric is a Bloomberg ETF analyst. He also said these exact same words a while ago, that the SEC is definitely going to be wasting time on Ethereum. First, they have to categorize what Ethereum is and then green light the ETF, which again will waste a lot of time. Gary Gensler is definitely milking this situation in every angle. There's lots of millionaires in China. There is lots of millionaires in China, and those millionaires in China have all businesses operating in Hong Kong. All the wealthy people in China have businesses operating, or not in headquarters, but a separate office operating in Hong Kong. So all that money should be going towards Bitcoin ETFs and Ethereum ETFs. I don't think any of the investors are going to be losing out. I think they're going to be going head first, either off the date, off the bat, or 2 weeks in, let it mature, and then they'll go towards it. Either way, I will say this, that Michael Saylor, as I said, the second news that I read out on tonight's live show was regarding Michael Saylor. Michael Saylor made a purchase of $7.8 million on his recent Bitcoin purchase. $7.8 million at this price in this month. He made this purchase. Even somebody like him is anticipating market movements. By all means, he's definitely, of course, anticipating market movements. So even him, he definitely, comprehended the idea that, these Bitcoin ETFs coming out of Hong Kong should push the market slightly up. Not in exact same day it launches, but in 2 weeks' time, 3 weeks' time, 4 weeks' time, and so on. Then we should see the heavy movement, essentially heavy movements amount of money inflowing into Bitcoin ETFs because of Hong Kong, essentially. So even somebody like him, Michael Saylor, making his most recent purchase this month. This month was his most recent purchase of $7.8 million invested into Bitcoin, purchasing new Bitcoin. So somebody like him was also most likely anticipating this Bitcoin ETF situation in Hong Kong. So either way, it's a good one. It's a positive note, essentially, is what I'm trying to say. Why China goes through Hong Kong and not in China? Well, it's because not everybody has access to Hong Kong. The retail section, if you're wealthy enough, then you would essentially have, the means of travel, essentially, to Hong Kong or anywhere else you want to go visit. But also the retail section, so, China has extremely wealthy people or extremely lower class people, let's say. So they have an extremely upper class situation going on, but then also an extremely lower class situation going on. And the idea of CBDCs is very simmering, let's say, for example, in China. CBDCs is kind of getting widespread in China, and they don't want to, the people to focus too much on cryptocurrencies, but they'd rather be in CBDCs. So they are essentially closed all doors to cryptocurrencies, so everybody focuses on one thing, CBDCs. Now, if you're wealthy enough to be operating outside of the country as well, you can easily have access to cryptocurrencies. But if you're not wealthy enough, you're going to be on CBDCs for the rest of your life. And I talked about Russia as well. So a few nights ago, I talked about Russia. And even today, some news came out of Russia, which I didn't put down in my notes, but I remembered when I read it. It's on the news as well. If you just type in Russian CBDC, it comes up. Russia is going to be essentially strictening their rules. But after 1st of September, so 1st of September onwards in Russia, they're going to bring some strict rules on cryptocurrencies, extremely strict rules in Russia on, purchasing cryptocurrencies, holding cryptocurrencies, or whatever. Regarding, purchasing, selling, moving about, storing cryptocurrencies for the retail section, it's going to get extremely strict in Russia if you want to go for cryptocurrencies. 1st of September onwards, it's going to get very strict for Russian citizens. Okay? That's an indication of how close they are to CBDCs. And I talked about the indication of how close you are to CBDCs yesterday's on this live on the CMF live show that we normally do every single night typically. I talked about yesterday as well. It's an indication of how close your country is towards CBDCs when the strict rules start to come out of nowhere. It's the same thing that China did. They restricted everybody to cryptocurrencies. So China was big, for example. China was humongous in cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin mining, China was number one. A very long time ago, China was the number one country in Bitcoin mining, pretty much number one in cryptocurrencies, lots of money coming in from China. And then China closed their doors. No more Bitcoin mining, no more cryptocurrencies. What happened next? CBDCs. Same thing in Nigeria as well. Nigeria followed the footsteps of China. Nigeria was big in cryptocurrencies. And then they stopped all the cryptocurrencies. They banned cryptocurrencies. They banned the minings. What happened next in China? CBDCs. And there's a lot more countries that followed the exact same footsteps of cryptocurrency minings, Bitcoin minings, and then they stopped everything, launched CBDCs. But yeah, if you're wealthy enough, you can operate outside of China, go to Hong Kong, you can purchase BTC ETFs, and if you can't, then you're part of the lower class in China. So they're trying to make people's focus on essentially CBDCs. This is why I tell people, you don't really have enough time. Everybody thinks they have a lot of time to get into crypto and so on. You really don't have time. They want to give you the illusion that you have time. Even Russia was telling its, citizens, for example, that CBDCs are coming. First they said 2030, then they said 2025, then they said 2024. And then now they're saying again 2026, but they're stopping everybody from accessing cryptocurrency September 1st onwards. So you're a lot more closer. Well, every country is a lot more closer to CBDCs essentially than you would think. So don't listen to too much of what they say regarding they're coming out 2030. They're really not. They're restricting everybody as we go along. You want to be in crypto before the restrictions come through. If Hong Kong is not caring if Ethereum is security, they might consider XRP ETFs, which is a possibility as well. Hong Kong is quite big on Ripple partnerships, which is a possibility as well. This is exactly why I mentioned that Hong Kong, regarding green lighting essentially ETFs very easily, there could be other ETFs along the way. That was one of the reasons why I said it regarding XRP and other ETFs as well. So, next news to go from tonight's live show is this one. US senators probe Tether's role in the nation's evading sanctions. As I said previously on this live show as well, that Tether's days seem to be numbered. Okay, Tether's days are getting numbered day by day, for example. And I give the analogy of Binance being the number one crypto exchange, and then everybody was working with Binance, everybody was giving licensings to Binance and CZ, and then all of a sudden, the US comes along, takes over Binance, throws out the CEO. The CEO is stuck in America. He can't leave the United States. He has to pay $50 million. The company has to pay $4 billion. And every country dropped Binance one by one. There's some countries still, operating with Binance, but the majority of them dropped Binance one by one. And America, just completely took over Binance. And it's because America doesn't want anybody else in control regarding any market space. Now, Tether, on the other hand, is quite big as well, just like Binance. Tether is quite big, and they're operating on the US dollar. The number one stablecoin inside the crypto space is the US dollar. And the biggest issue with that is America's not in control of it. So America's not in control of the dominant currency inside the crypto space, which is the US dollar. That's a big issue. And I mentioned this a while ago that they could be looking into sanction situations, for example. So, US senators probe Tether's role in nations evading sanction. United States senators wrote to various departments regarding the possible use of Tether's stablecoin by North Korea, Iran, and Russia as a means of evading US sanctions. Senator Elizabeth Warren and Roger Marshall questioned the Biden administration on multiple occasions on Russia, Iran, and North Korea's potential use of USDT stablecoins, as reported by the Wall Street Journal, and supported by the government documents. As per the documents, Russian enterprises were able to buy drones and even other equipment components overseas by using USDT stablecoins, which were backed by the US dollar, to get over sanctions. Senators questioned essentially whether Joe Biden administration and the Department of Defense agreed with the Treasury Department's request for further authority in the light of this development. Earlier in April, Wally, the Deputy Secretary of Treasury, stated that Congress would have to adapt new powers, essentially because of this active use of cryptocurrencies by North Korea and other illicit, essentially activities, illicit groups, for example, and the Russian military industrial complex. Tether has made it clear on several occasions that it is working with the US authorities and is prepared to freeze wallets connected to the companies that are utilizing stablecoins to get around this sanction. Tether representatives pledged to block addresses that the Office of Foreign Assets Control, essentially OFAC, has sanctioned in late April. The news was made public following media reports that the state oil corporations of Venezuela is evading US sanctions as well by utilizing the USDT stablecoin. Okay, I fully understand regarding Tether trying to say, we'll work with the US government. We have no issues. Tether has came out and said we have no issues. We'll work with the US government. We'll freeze whatever wallets you want to do. But that still isn't the control the United States wants. And I think Tether knows that as well. Tether knows that, even Tether knows, in my opinion, that their days are numbered. That the US isn't just interested in about freezing a few wallets, because that doesn't do much. You can just create another wallet and carry on with the payments. The US is more interested in complete control. A lot of people assume, even I assumed that, in the early days, that America wanted a piece of the pie when it came to Binance. I assumed as well, I always talked about it, America wanted a piece of the pie when it came to Binance. It turns out America wanted all of the pie when it came to Binance. And in this scenario as well, I don't think America wants a piece of the pie when it comes to Tether, USDT. I particularly think that America wants all of the pie when it comes to USDT. And I think that even Tether knows their days are numbered when you have members of US Senate now looking into Tether. And even though Tether has said, well, as I said, they'll freeze wallets. They'll freeze as many wallets as they want. They have no problems working with the US government. But that's what Binance said as well. Binance said we have no problem working with the US government. After saying that, the US didn't care and sued Binance into the ground. And I don't think the US cares about this situation either regarding Tether. I think they'll just phase it out or take it over. So, let's go to the comment section before we go to the next news. Hi, Hong Kong. If Hong Kong is not currently this possibility of XRP, possibility per link to Circle overtakes Tether in trans volume. That is true. Yes, I looked at it as well. Let's go Vibe. Thank you for the update as well. Can the Chinese, Russians, or any other peoples maybe protest to get out of CBDC? No, nobody can protest to get out of CBDCs. There's no possibility of getting out of CBDCs. Protesting doesn't work. Protesting never worked and never will work. A lot of people don't like to hear this because a lot of people assume or believe that protesting works. In reality, it doesn't work. It's never stopped a thing. If something wants to stop, it will stop. If something doesn't want to stop, it won't stop. Nobody's listening. I've always said this, to anybody that is, wasting their time protesting. It never works. It's an absolute joke. Even protesting against CBDCs, it doesn't work either. And a lot of people don't like to hear this because a lot of people in this world live in la la land and think their voice matters. Your voice don't matter at all. Never did, never will. I'm sorry to say this, but neither does mine. Nobody's voice matters. If you're not sitting in a high profile seat, your voice don't matter at all. Never did, never will. I always give the analogy of France. A number one country that protests about anything in this world is the French people. The French people have protested about everything in this world. And I always say to people, do you think France got better or worse, compared to other countries? The answer is worse or the same as other countries. It doesn't matter if you protest or not. Nobody's listening. So CBDC is something that's coming. You can't stop it. There's not a single possibility of you stopping CBDCs. The only thing you can do is adapt very, very quickly. So, hi there. Fly, good to see you. How you doing? Miles, thank you so much for teaching me. No problem, Abel, anytime. Okay, somebody's getting very weird in the comment section. Okay. Avalanche is the next news to go from tonight's live show. Avalanche and Stripe partnership boosts crypto buying ease. A recent announcement by Avax Labs highlights the integration of Avalanche's essentially chain network with Stripe payments platform. So Avalanche, as I recently announced as well, that Stripe has came back inside the crypto space because Stripe said crypto is back, utilities back. That's what they said about a few days ago that I revealed on this live show. After saying that, now they've decided to partner up with Avax as well, which is massive for Avax. This development also verified Stripe's users to directly purchase AVAX cryptocurrencies and transfer it into their wallets. Notably, 8 Web3 applications on the AVAX network will also incorporate this new feature, enhancing the functionalities and accessibility of their platform. Enhanced user experience through customizable, essentially widgets. The integration includes a significant feature where Avalanche application developers can embed a customizable widget within their platforms. This widget facilitates the conversations of fiat money to cryptocurrency via Stripe, streamlining the process for users. The application adapting this essentially widget range from AVAX core portfolio application to various others, including GoGo Pool, a staking protocol, and ZeroZone, a NFT marketplace, among others, addressing initial funding challenges in Web3. One of the primary challenges addressed by this integration is the cold start problem in the Web3 ecosystem, where users initially lack sufficient funds in their wallets to make transactions. Through Stripe, not only will the KYC payment processing and compliance be managed, but it will also tackle fraud instances. This allows developers to focus on more of their enhancements of the application itself rather than logistics issues, initial steps, and future prospects. The collaboration initially permits users of the core portfolio to set up AVAX accounts using their Google or Apple IDs and to fund these accounts through various means such as bank transfers and even credit cards. Gupot, the Avax Labs president of consumer products, emphasized that this partnership is intended to bridge the gap between crypto and fiat currencies, thereby simplifying the adoption of cryptocurrencies for everyday transactions and increasing global crypto's essentially accessibility. Points to consider. This integration could significantly lower the barriers for new users entering the crypto space. Enhanced accessibility through familiar payment methods could lead to a wider adoption of cryptocurrencies. The focus on user experience is likely to improve trust and security prescriptions among potential crypto users. In conclusion, the collaboration between AVAX and Stripe represents a strategic move to facilitate easier, essentially, entry into the cryptocurrency world, making it more accessible to integrate with established financial systems. Such partnerships are pivotal for the growth and mainstream acceptance of digital currencies. Again, massive news, absolute massive news regarding AVAX. Definitely AVAX and Stripe coming together, major news. And AVAX, I mean, they do also have the partnership with the Citibank. They also have the partnership with JP Morgan as well. Both of them on a subnet green. They're doing testings on the AVAX network. And now AVAX and Stripe. Great for AVAX. AVAX, brilliant project, honestly. Next news to go from tonight's live show. Breaking news regarding Morgan Stanley. And I talked about Morgan Stanley entering the crypto space, essentially regarding BTC ETFs. And the news has officially came through now. Breaking news, Morgan Stanley files to expand Bitcoin ETF access to 12 funds. Morgan Stanley, the American multinational investment bank, has filed a submission with the US Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, to permit the exposing of essentially Bitcoin ETFs to be about a dozen of its investment funds. This trade seeks to diversify the client's investment strategies by including the fast-growing cryptocurrency market. Funds targeted for Bitcoin ETF. In conclusion, the funds identified in the file with the SEC are the Advantage, Asia opportunities, counterpoint global, developing opportunity, global insight, global opportunity, global performance, growth, inception, international advantagements, international opportunities, and penance portfolios. These are all the things that are involved. As per the filings, these funds will achieve indirect exposure to Bitcoin by investing into Bitcoin ETFs with specific caps to manage the exposures. Morgan Stanley highlighted in their filings that the risk in investing into Bitcoin BTC, essentially ETFs, are the same as the threats of indirect investments into Bitcoin. The bank essentially indicated that the investments into Bitcoin ETFs would expose the funds to common bank-related risks and those particular to the ETFs. This systematic approach is intended to control possible risks and give customers Bitcoin investment opportunities without direct contact with their very unstable cryptocurrency markets. Potential increase in demand for ETFs. This follows reports that Morgan Stanley might enable its 15,000 brokers. That's the news that I revealed a few nights ago on this live show that I do every single night called the CMF live show, the one that everybody's watching right now. A few nights ago, I revealed that Morgan Stanley could be, entering the crypto space, entering the Bitcoin ETF space with 15,000 brokers, which is major, is what I revealed a few nights ago. And now we have this. Morgan Stanley finally filed documents. It's massive. 15,000 brokers to actively push Bitcoin ETFs to essentially their clients. Unlike their prior situations where such promotions were only unsolicited, if approved, this change would lead to substantial surge in demand for Bitcoin ETFs, as the brokers' recommendations would be more free and aligned with their clients' needs and risk portfolios. Therefore, with the provision of BTC through the felicity of ETFs, Morgan Stanley is addressing the demand for digital assets and positioning its portfolios to harness potential growth from the technological and financial innovations in cryptocurrencies. Such development could pave the way for other financial institutions to embrace similar integrations and promote further institutional coverage of Bitcoin and other digital assets, which is massive. Honestly, Morgan Stanley coming inside the crypto space, absolutely massive. Genuinely mean it. And now that we have confirmation of they filed in their paperwork finally, there's even better news. So, do you see bank sellings 2024 in a big scale around the world? Do you see banks selling crypto in 2024 in a big scale around the world? I do. I definitely do see a lot of banks selling cryptocurrency. I mean, we do have the German banks that recently passed regarding their entering the crypto space. We had a lot of German banks enter the crypto space, apply for licenses. One of them, the largest, essentially government bank backed by the government of Germany, that has 333 billion euros under essentially assessments, assets under management, entered the crypto space and partnered with Bitpanda, which was massive as well. 3-year partnership. They entered the crypto space as well. And they're not the only one. A lot of German banks have entered the crypto space. And we're definitely going to be seeing a lot of banks offering crypto services, just like Revolut is, for example. You rock miles, brother. Let's go, Sultan. Thanks so much for the kind word, brother. Morgan Stanley is a huge update. Yes, Morgan Stanley is definitely a huge update, without a doubt. As I said previously as well, this market, we're just getting started. I mean, look, in general, we are going up. We're going to utility, okay? Day by day, as I said previously, more institutions, more regulations, more banks are coming inside the crypto space. Things are going to get a lot more better, and prices are going to go a lot more higher. A lot more higher. Now, moving on to the next news as well, tonight's live show, which is from Raoul Paul. Raoul Paul predicts crypto to enter banana zone soon, and $100 trillion market cap within 10 years. Within 10 years is what he's predicting. So, prominent macro guru and former Goldman Sachs executive Raoul Paul shared his insights on why he believes crypto is the biggest macro opportunity of all time. What happened? Essentially, in a recent podcast titled The Big Picture, Powell argues that the ongoing, essentially, debasement of currencies of central banks, coupled with the rapid adoption of crypto and technology, has created a unique investment opportunity. This could generate unprecedented returns, essentially. He predicts crypto is going from $2.7 trillion, where we are today, to, let's say, $12 trillion by the end of this cycle, and onto $100 trillion within 10 years. It emphasizes the potential for massive wealth accumulation in the shortest period recorded in history. Powell points to a correlation between global liquidity and Bitcoin price as a key indicator for the macro focuses during the crypto markets. Powell discussed the crypto seasons concepts with each cycle, essentially categorized by distinct phrases of market behavior. He believes that we are currently transitioning into the crypto summer, a period when altcoins typically outperform Bitcoin, and the market experienced significant growth. Very soon, like in the next month and a half, we will start to hit the banana zone, is what he said. Word for word, Raoul Pal said on this interview that very soon, like in the next month and a half, we will start to hit the banana zone. Paul refers to the explosive growth potential during this phase. He says that when the zone hits, things will get wild inside the crypto space. Why it matters. Raoul Pal cautions investors against getting carried away by the hype also, and making essentially irresponsible decisions. He advises against using leverage and keeping most of the one's crypto holdings in the top 3 to top 5 market cap tokens, allocating no more than 10% of their capital to essentially higher risk altcoins. He said, don't FOMO into stupid SHIT because your friends are making money, or you're seeing some bloke making money in a meme coin. Paul warns, essentially emphasizing the importance of disciplined investment approach. As the crypto market continues to evolve, Raoul Pal's insights provide a compelling case for why investors should consider allocating a portion of their portfolios to a rapidly growing asset class. By understanding the macro forces at play at adhering to a responsible investment strategy, individuals may have the opportunity to participate in what Powell believes to be the biggest macro opportunity of their entire lifetimes. Massive. His opinion does hold a bit of weight. He was an ex-Goldman Sachs executive. Do you see in your eyes Miles XRP at least $10 by the end of this year? Adoption. If XRP gets the right amount of adoption, any price point is a possibility. If the XRP gets the right amount of adoption, any essentially price point is a possibility. And if anybody tells you, a particular crypto asset can't reach a price point, a genuine, legitimate crypto asset, not zoo tokens, the frog, camel token, dog token, cat, none of those ones, the genuine ones. So AVAX, XRP, XLM, XDC, Solana, Cardano, Bitcoin, Ethereum, whatever. We're going on the list of genuine crypto projects, legitimate crypto projects. If anybody tells you, they can't reach certain price points, they can. You never know, because it just does depend on the adoption rate. If it gets the correct amount of adoption rate, any price point is a possibility for any of these assets, the legitimate crypto assets, once again, not the zoo animal tokens. And if anybody tells you no, I'll give you a very simple example. When Bitcoin was $1, if you told anyone Bitcoin is going to go to $10, they would have called you crazy. When Bitcoin was, essentially, if you told anyone, when Bitcoin was $1 and you told anyone Bitcoin is going to $10, they would have called you crazy. If you told anyone Bitcoin is going to, $50,000, they would have disowned you. Your own parents, your own family members. If you, at that time, I'm not even joking, if you told your own family members at that time, when Bitcoin was $1, if you turned around and said to your own family members that Bitcoin is sitting at $1 right now, but one day it's going to go essentially past $50,000, your own family members would have disowned you and thought you were absolutely mental. Just from perspective. Any asset, if it essentially gets the right amount of adoption entering into it, for especially cryptocurrencies is utility based. Any asset based on its utility gets the right amount of adoption coming in. Any price point is possible if it gets the right amount of adoption coming into it. So always remember that. So anybody telling you this project can't go to this, that project can't go to this, it's not possible, it's never possible, it's never going to happen. Just remember, when Bitcoin was at $1, if you told anyone it was going to $50,000 at $1, your own family members would have disowned you. And everybody would have thought you're absolutely mental. Any asset, if it gets the right amount of adoption, any price point is possible. Let's go. I love listening to him. In his words, don't F this up. Let's go, Shelly. Shelly J. Definitely a boatload of knowledge. You won't find any better. Let's go, Shelly. Let's go, Semper. Let's go, Shelly as well. Some of my family won't believe me now, so guessing they would have sent me to word back. Then, let's go, Shelly. Which project do you think will do the best this year? There's a lot of projects that will do the best, that will do incredibly well, okay? But here's the thing, as I said previously, okay? Every market, everybody talks about it as well. Every market is about the narrative, okay? But the majority of the crypto space have got the narrative wrong for this market space we are in. And how do I know the majority of the crypto space has got this narrative wrong, the market space we are in right now? Because a lot of people are talking about narratives that don't even matter. Now, I'm from the corporate sector, and I'm seeing the market narrative have resemblance to the corporate side. The market narrative right now, you must be blind if you can't see it. I'm not even genuinely joking, but you must be blind if you can't see the market narrative right now. You have day by day, institutions coming in. Day by day, you have institutions coming in. Either they're filing for new licensings or they're coming inside the market space offering some sort of services because their licenses got approved a while ago or recently. So day by day, we have more institutions coming inside the market space. Day by day, we have more banks, partnering with other exchanges or other platforms and entering the crypto space, or applying for new licensings and entering the crypto space. We have more, day by day, more institutions going towards Bitcoin ETFs and Ethereum ETFs. And this is worldwide, not just US related or UK related or Canada related or Australia related or Japan related. We're talking on a worldwide basis. Day by day, we have more institutions coming inside the crypto space, more institutions applying for licensings, more banks entering the crypto space, more banks entering for essentially licensings to enter the crypto space on services of lending, borrowing, purchasing, selling, so on and so on, and storing. And day by day, we're getting regulations from worldwide basis again. So that should easily tell you what the market narrative is. The market narrative right now is institutions, banks, and regulations. Which projects do you think will do the best with banks, institutions, and regulations? The projects that are inside the financial sector, projects that are going to be moving around money, projects that are good in tokenization. These institutions that are entering the crypto space, they care about a few things. They care about the digital money, and they care about tokenizations. And they care about data as well. And relatively AI, but the AI projects they're working with are not blockchain related. But that's what they care about. And it's the same, things that were discussed inside the World Economic Forum. The same thing that was discussed in the 2024 World Economic Forum right at the beginning of the year, where they talked about what the market narrative is. They had a group of wealthy, incredible, powerful people in front of them in the audience. And they said to these bankers, these governors, these executives, these directors, these company owners, and so on, they said to these people what the market narrative is. And they said projects that are inside regulations is what we're interested in. Projects that are inside of CBDCs is what we're interested in. Projects that are in tokenization is what we're interested in. And projects that are inside of essentially data, carrying around data, is what we're interested in. So, and you can also easily tell what projects they're talking about. 24,000 crypto projects. Only one of them is doing CBDCs. So that one we know which one it is. If they're talking about CBDCs and a project that's going to be leading the way inside the World Economic Forum, we know which one they're talking about. There's 24,000 crypto projects plus. There's one project doing CBDCs. Ripple is the only one that's created a CBDC platform. So that one's on the side. We know that one is there. And then we got the tokenization. AVAX is there, definitely. JP Morgan on a side chain, subnet green chain, are going to be using AVAX. They're doing testings on AVAX on a subnet green chain. So is Citibank, because JP Morgan got involved. So Citibank thought, there must be something to AVAX. So they went to AVAX as well on a subnet green. Chainlink is there as well, regarding tokenization purposes. Ripple is also there as well, regarding tokenization purposes. And then we've got stablecoins as well. The key players, obviously, inside of stablecoins is USDT, USDC, and FDUSD, and some other ones. Now, America is, the number one. It's the heavyweight. Inside the financial space, inside the market space, the US is the heavyweight. And it will always remain the heavyweight. And a lot of people say, well, the US is weak, and so it's really not weak in any sort of a way. It's still controlling wars. It's still controlling markets. And the US dollar is the dominant currency inside financial traditional space. And the US dollar is also the number one stablecoin inside the digital space. So they have control of the essentially traditional financial space. The US dollar is the dominant currency. And they also have control in some sort of a way over the crypto space, because the number one currency of a stablecoin inside the crypto space is not the Chinese yen or the Japanese yuan and so on. It's not the Russian ruble. It's the US dollar, the number one currency of a stablecoin. Now, however, Tether is not an American company, which is a big issue, which is why I say Tether's days are numbered. But anyways, that's another story. But, in terms of where this market is, the market narrative, the majority of people have got it wrong. The majority of the people have got it wrong. A lot of people inside the crypto space are telling you to run away from institutions. A lot of people are telling you inside the crypto space. The reason I know this is because I see a lot of these influencers, telling people to run away from the, institutions. The institutions are coming, get out of the, crypto market, or, the banks are coming, get out of the crypto market. The regulations are coming, get out of the crypto market. What we should be doing is looking at where the institutions are going to be allocating their funds. Where are those banks going to be allocating their funds? How does the regulations impact the crypto space? There might be some regulations that are positive for certain crypto assets, and there might be some regulations that's a massive negative for some crypto assets. These are the things you really want to be looking into. And again, I'm from the corporate sector, so these are things that matter to me. And, we're inside a corporate run, for example. We're inside of a utility run. And you generally want to see, essentially, you want to be entering those crypto projects before the institutional money enters them. And remember, institutional money is coordinated money. Once an institutional money enters any crypto project, it stays with that project for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 25, 30, 50, 100 years. Who knows for how long that money will be staying in that crypto project. But it's coordinated money, and it stays with the project, unlike retail money, which enters a crypto project and exits within 6 months. And also the reason why the markets aren't playing in historic patterns is because of the institutional money. The reason why the markets are not playing in historic patterns, Bitcoin doing massive new heights, the Bitcoin halving happens, and the massive titanic dump a lot of people were expecting didn't come around. It's because of the institutions. The markets aren't playing in historic patterns. Because these institutions are coming inside the crypto space, and they're purchasing, and they're holding. In the past, we would have, that massive sell-offs because the retail section were in charge. with the crypto whales. Now the institutions are coming in and becoming in charge of everything, and they're not selling. And when institutions aren't selling, the markets aren't playing in historic patterns because they're holding. Even the Bitcoin mining institutions, the Bitcoin mining institutions typically sell off their bags at the height of Bitcoin's price point. That's according to historic patterns again. But again, the market didn't play out in historic patterns. The Bitcoin mining institutions, according to Marathon Digital and the rest of the mining institutions, they only sold off the amount of Bitcoin they needed to sell off to expand their BTC mining operations. So there's many reasons why the market's not playing in historic patterns, and the number one reason is because of the institutions. They're coming in and disrupting any pattern. And day by day, we're getting more institutions. Day by day, we're getting more licenses from different types. I mean, Morgan Stanley, 15,000 brokers. Morgan Stanley has just been green-lighted, not for the 15,000 brokers, but they could be entering as well. But Morgan Stanley, regarding green-lighted of entering inside, they filed to be green-lighted inside the market space. But they have 15,000 brokers ready. 15,000 brokers from Morgan Stanley are ready. The moment Morgan Stanley gets a green light to offer crypto services to all of their clients. 15,000 brokers. Again, that will disrupt historic patterns inside the crypto space. These are things that the majority of the crypto space are not paying attention to. And everybody keeps on looking historic patterns. But I understand it's because a lot of people don't understand how the corporate sector operates. I do because I'm inside the corporate sector. So, what crypto projects are going to be doing well? The ones that are going to be allocated, the funds are going to be allocated towards from institutions, which means you want to enter those crypto projects before the institutions allocate their funds into them. And I've said this previously as well. The amount of money that came in to push Bitcoin to new heights was nothing. The amount of money that came in from the institutions, from the BTC ETFs, to push Bitcoin to new heights was absolutely nothing. That was a very, very small, minuscule amount of money that was coming in. The medium and large hasn't even entered the crypto space yet from the institutional side. That was a very small amount of money. And I said this a while ago. And then I got repeated. My exact words were repeated by Arthur Hayes. Arthur Hayes came out as well. He said that the money that pushed Bitcoin to new heights from the BTC ETFs was a down payment from the institutions. He said it was a down payment from institutions. And it was absolutely nothing compared to the actual money coming on later on from the institutions. And that's exactly similar to what I said as well a while ago regarding there was a small amount of money coming in from institutions, and then him coming, about a week after I said this, coming out of Hayes and coming out and saying it was a down payment. It was absolutely nothing, the amount of money that came in from the institutions to push Bitcoin to new heights. So, we still have the medium-sized amount of money coming in and the large amount of money, and this market, we're going into utility. Whether some people think we're not going to or we're going to or so on, we are going to. The day BlackRock entered the crypto space, the whole playing field changed. The whole ball game changed. And the market has never since played historic patterns. So yeah, a lot of people aren't comprehending the institutions that are coming in day by day, the institutions that are applying for licensing, the banks that are coming into the crypto space, and the banks that are applying for licenses and the regulations. And a lot of people inside the crypto space aren't comprehending on any of this. And they're just looking at historic patterns. But what you need to understand is for historic patterns to work, the market layout should be the same, technically. For historic patterns to work, the market layout should be the same. But the issue with that is, in the past, we didn't have institutions. We didn't have, BlackRock, Fidelity, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, Vanguard, and anybody else. We didn't have any of these people inside the past. We didn't have the amount of banks that are coming in. We didn't have the amount of regulations that were coming in. We didn't have the amount of licensings that were coming in. We had none of these in the past. So for historic patterns to play the same path, the market needs to relatively be in the same, path, but it isn't. The market is on a complete separate path. So you want to be looking into essentially projects that are going to be, that the funds from the institutions and the banks are going to be allocated towards. And some regulations are positive for some crypto assets and some regulations are negative for some crypto assets. You need to look out for that as well. You need to become a lot more wiser inside the crypto space. A lot more wiser. When BTC was 60,000, someone mentioned to me, I told him this is a Ponzi scheme. Same here, I try to tell him. Happy Pisces, good to see you. How you doing? When BTC was 60,000, someone mentioned to me, I told him it was Ponzi. I learned more from you in the past few days than the past year from everyone else. Thank you. Abdul, no problem, brother, anytime. And genuinely mean it, thank you for the kind words. I've learned more from you in the past few days than the past year from anybody else. Thank you. No problem, brother, anytime. Good evening, Miles. Susie, good to see you. How you doing? Hey, Miles, what do you think of CeeLo? It's an alright project. It's an alright project. My Miles, I just logged onto one of my accounts and I'm in shock. Thank you for all your advice. No problem, Imon. Anytime. What will the US elections do to the markets and XRP? Will Trump win? Well, I've said this as well. So, okay, here's how the markets will play out regarding the US elections. Because even according to the International Monetary Fund, and I read this out a few days ago on this live show. I read out a few days ago regarding the International Monetary Fund, where they wrote a piece, an article, where if the United States market sneezes, everybody catches a cold, which is true. If the US sneezes, the whole markets around the whole world catches a cold. And it was relatable to the US elections. And I said there's three ways to look at it. If Joe Biden, and again, I'm not a US citizen, but I obviously understand how the market works, and I'm inside the corporate sector. I understand movements, and I read a lot of PDF documents. So, regarding if Joe, again, I'm not saying who's going to win, but I'll tell you if they win, what happens. If Joe Biden wins, if he gets re-elected again, I don't know how that's possible, but if he does get re-elected again, then he's heavy into CBDCs. The Biden administration is heavy into CBDCs, and Gary Gensler will remain where he is. The only person that can remove Gary Gensler from his position is pretty much the United States president, and he's the only one that can see if Gary Gensler is not doing his job as the chairman of the SEC and remove him. The issue with that is Sleepy Joe isn't doing his own job correctly, so how is he supposed to know if Gary Gensler is doing his job correctly? That's a major issue. So if Biden wins again, then it's going to be CBDCs all the way pretty much. If it's Trump that wins, then he's going to do everything he can within his power to ban CBDCs. Is he going to be successful? Most likely not. Because the corporations that are in favor of CBDCs are BlackRock, Fidelity, Vanguard, Goldman Sachs, International Monetary Fund, Bank of International Settlements, and the list goes on. So, but if Trump wins, again, I'm not a United States citizen. I'm just giving you perspectives of if they win, what will happen. So if Biden wins, it's CBDCs all the way for Biden administration. If Trump wins, then he's going to try to do everything he can to ban CBDCs and go forward with cryptocurrencies. And he's done 3 NFT projects, so he has some sort of capabilities, understandings of what blockchain is. If the other person wins, Kennedy is fully in favor of Bitcoin and making the United States a Bitcoin country. And he said that he wants to put the government money on the blockchain, is what Kennedy said. He said he wants to put the government debt on essentially on the blockchain, so everybody can see where the government money, where your taxpayers' money is being used. So Biden, if he gets re-elected again, CBDCs all the way for Biden. Trump, if he gets re-elected, he's going to try to ban CBDCs and go for crypto in general. Kennedy, if he gets elected, he's going to be essentially going forward on a Bitcoin United States country, and putting everything public on the blockchain of where the United States essentially spends their money. Where does your taxpayers' money goes to is what's going to happen. So those are the 3 candidates the United States has, and that's how the markets will play out. Essentially what they're aiming for. Let's go crypto. Let's go in. Also, people rumors about possible black swan, especially during elections, US. Yes, there's a possibility of that as well. When will XRP start adoption? Well, it needs to be obviously after the needs to be after the case. What do you think of ICP? What do I think of ICP? It's an alright project. It's an alright project, is what I would say regarding ICP. It's, you know, I wouldn't say, you have to have ICP. I would say it's an alright project. It's definitely on the list, but it's not a project that I would always go around and recommend to everybody. Go for ICP, go for ICP. No, it's a good project. It's a legitimate project, is what I would also say as well. It's a legitimate project. It's a good project, and it has utility purposes as well regarding the Web3 sector and data sector and so on. So it has utility purposes. It's an alright project. I think Sleepy Joe will bail in June or July and someone else will run. Dems will never let Trump win, is what Semper said. It's a fair point. I've done my prior research and found out that BTC could go to 120,000 or to 160,000 by 2025, but the current updates show that it could go for 300,000 or more. Exactly. ACH or HBAR. HBAR is hyped last days by a lot. That is very true, yes. ACH and HBAR are both good in their own unique aspects. HBAR is obviously good because it's cheaper on transactions rather than ACH. ACH has incredible licensings, incredible partnerships. ACH is definitely up there, without a doubt. HBAR is also definitely up there because it has incredible licenses and incredible partnerships as well. They're both great in their own aspects, without a doubt. So I would say, regarding ACH or HBAR, have both. Go into both, research both. I wouldn't say, only HBAR or only ACH. I would say both is definitely something that needs to be looked into. Kennedy only one with Kennedy's the only one with a brain, is what Susie said. I've made good on ICP. Let's go, Iman. How long after the case will adoption start for XRP? Well, it does depend on how quick they move. So it depends on how quick Ripple moves. Brought below £5. Let's go, Iman. Thanks for answers, brother. No problem. Anytime. No problem. Love for beauty. Anytime. Which projects are now low enough to go? Excellent option to buy today. Obviously, I can't tell you what to buy, but I can tell you what to look into. A lot of projects are overpriced right now regarding the amount of money you want to be entering the market with. So some projects are definitely overpriced. Obviously, they're going to be going higher and market's going to go through pullbacks and corrections, but in general term, we're going to be going higher and higher every year because of utility base. But some projects are overpriced and some projects still have space. XLM is still, I'll give you a list of projects to look into, not to buy, but a list of projects that are relatively still cheap for what they are. Okay? ACH is cheap for what it is. Relatively cheap for what it is. HBAR is cheap for relatively what it is. The two projects I'll mention in the comment section. HBAR and ACH, relatively cheap. XLM, relatively cheap. XRP, very crucial and relatively cheap for what it is. XDC, very cheap for what it is. LAT, very cheap for what it is. You know what? I'll make a list and put inside Telegram. I'll make a list and put inside Telegram, the CMF Telegram group. But there's a lot of projects that are relatively cheap for what they are, and they haven't kicked in yet, and they have major utility purposes, especially inside this corporate sector, where funds could be allocated towards them. Miles, when will you have your latest portfolio up in the CMF? I know you're busy, just wondering when you will be able to do this. I think by tomorrow, the day after, because I'm still updating my portfolio. So by tomorrow, the day after, I should have it up inside Telegram group. Definitely by tomorrow, the day after, I should have the updated list inside Telegram group. Also, if anybody's wondering what this Telegram group is, it's completely free. Everything I provide is completely free of source. I believe education needs to remain free. So if anybody wants to join the Telegram group of this live show, which is called the CMF live show, this is episode 42 that I'm doing right now on live on YouTube and X at the exact same time. The Telegram link for this CMF live show is on my X profile. If you go to my X profile, if you're watching us on X, or if you're watching us on YouTube, the link is there as well if you want to join. Anybody's more than welcome to join. It's an amazing group of people to be, with. the CMF. And everybody helps each other out. Let's say in June End's case, when will Ripple move on to adoption, you think? A little bit after that, soon after that, they will go for it. Do you buy on exchanges and move to Tangent Miles? Yes, I always buy on exchanges and move to, essentially cold storage wallets. I buy from exchanges. Mostly, the exchange that I normally use is Binance Exchange because it's incredibly quick. Binance Exchange is the easiest for me to always use, so it's incredibly quick. So, and I also, I have I know a Binance executive as well, so it makes life so much more easier for me regarding Binance. Because I own my own blockchain startup company as well. If anybody's watching this for the first time ever, I also own a blockchain startup company as well, and I work with acquaintances of Binance executives, MXC Exchange, and so on. But yeah, for me, number one exchange to always go to is Binance Exchange. I use Coinbase here and there as well, and MXC as well. Binance number one, and then straight away to cold storage wallet. I don't leave anything on exchanges. Thank you. I'm just undecided about a couple of other tokens. Would love to see where you sit with them. That's all. No problem, Shelly. Anytime. I'll definitely add it in. Now, we also have quite a lot of news to still go through on tonight's live show, which we're about to go through now. So I think tonight's going to be a little bit of a longer live show than usual. Because typically we'll come to some sort of an ending, right about now. But we're going to go and extend this live show right now by going into the next news. So on today's live show, we talked about a lot of news regarding Morgan Stanley entering the crypto space, 15,000 brokers. We talked about the CZ Binance situation. We talked about Ethereum's ETF situation. We talked about the Ripple and the new judge situation. We talked about so many things. And now we're going to be moving on to CBDC news. We're going to be moving on to CBDC news and what's happening around the world regarding CBDCs, which is very important to know, for everybody to know about. Now, a lot of things happening in Germany regarding CBDCs. Now, you might think Germany has no relevance to you because you might be somewhere else around the world. Well, let me tell you one thing. Germany is under the G20. And every G20 country signed the same declaration in the G20 summit to be on the same sets of rules. So whatever happens in Germany and regarding CBDCs moving forward and so on, it's pretty much what's going to happen in the rest of G20 countries as well. But something interesting is happening in Germany. Very interesting regarding CBDCs, where people are starting to like CBDCs. Many Germans are open to adapting to a digital euro, according to a new study from a bank. That many Germans are open, very open, to the idea of a digital euro. In a groundbreaking study, the Deutsche Bank revealed a significant openness among Germans towards the concept of a digital euro. This interest in central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, indicates a shift in consumer sentiment regarding digital assets and presence essentially at a pivotal opportunity for modernizing the European financial landscape. Studies reveal 86% of Germans open to digital euro aimed banking stress. A survey commissioned by the Bundesbank and executed with approximately 6,000 participants highlights that nearly half of the respondents are keen to utilizing a digital euro, even without the incentive of interest earnings. Such a finding is particularly remarkable in Germany, traditionally known for its strong preference for cash transactions. The study also delves into the hypothetical behavior of German consumers during normal circumstances and periods of bank stressing. Comparing asset allocation between cash and commercial bank deposits and the proposed digital euro, the data reveals that it offered a CBDC that is either non or yields, or at least the same interest rate as bank deposits. At a staggering 86% of participants showed a degree of openness to adapting to digital currency. If they offer some sort of yields on the CBDCs, everybody will sign up in Germany. The implications for the banking sector are profound. Introducing a non-remittive CBDC could see an average decline of 14% in cash holdings and a 27% reduction in banking deposits among the group inclined towards CBDC use. So if they implement CBDCs in Germany, essentially 14% in cash holdings will come down, and 27% will essentially come down as well regarding people depositing cash. And more people will move towards CBDCs in Germany. This is according to a new study test from the bank, Deutsche Bank, Bundesbank in Germany. Bundesbank essentially model predicts CBDC impact on banks and economy. Moreover, in the hypothetical scenarios of banking turmoil, over half of the respondents indicated a possibility to convert their commercial bank deposits to digital euros. Half of them, half of the people that took this survey from the bank said they'll move their money willingly into CBDCs. Willingly, they'll move into CBDCs. A tendency amplified upon learning about the superior safety of central bank essentially backed money. The Bundesbank study also contributes to theoretically by essentially constructing a structural macroeconomic model to analyze the interplay between CBDC, banking stability, and economic welfare. This model is pivotal as it reflects the potential for gradual and rapid shifts from traditional banking to CBDCs. It provides insights into the broader effects of financial stability and policy formation. In essence, the Bundesbank findings not only reveal a substantial interest among Germans in a digital euro, but it also underscores the need for careful consideration in CBDC policies designed to maintain financial stability. The research signals a transformative period ahead where digital currencies could coexist with traditional money, reshaping the economic landscape in Germany and beyond. Now, moving on to the other CBDC news as well, that was Germany, regarding a new study test by a bank that essentially 6,000 people that took this study test, 85% were willing regarding CBDCs, and 50% of them said they will willingly change their own cash money into CBDCs. Willingly. Just for perspective. Now, things are about to get very interesting on this one. Very interesting. World Economic Forum report supports CBDCs and digital ID, urges public and private collaboration in finance. World Economic Forum's ambiguous stance on digital currencies raises eyebrows, suggesting a veiled push for CBDCs under the guise of collaboration. The World Economic Forum, WEF, is carefully championing the introduction not only of retail central bank currencies, CBDCs, for the general public, but also wholesale versions, which is WCBDCs, geared towards interbanking payments and security transactions. It is uncommon to come across leading financial institutions and banks liking to the heads of the World Economic Forum reports, while explaining and promoting their own activities in the space. And yet, a new World Economic Forum report, a collaborative effort with ACTRA, titled, this is the World Economic Forum document title, public documents, Modernizing Financial Markets with Wholesale Central Bank Digital Currencies, WCBDC, states that the group does not actually exploit or advocate for issuance of wholesale CBDCs. Nevertheless, the same report, a critical analyst, at one point in fact states that it advocates for collaboration among central banks, commercial banks, and financial market infrastructures to use wholesale CBDCs to address interbanking payments and security transaction challenges. The World Economic Forum, an informal group gathering global elites, seems aware that CBDCs in general are controversial proposition and may be trying to control the optics regarding the depth of this involvement, since it doesn't necessarily help elect national governments if the World Economic Forum is seen as the main driving force behind the scheme. However, the World Economic Forum also obviously again trying to position itself at the center of the economic policies. The report offers timely insights for public and private sector leaders evaluating the potential role of wholesale CBDCs in their jurisdictions. It reads, either way, World Economic Forum has for a while essentially now evidently been taking the lead in crafting a template of sorts for essentially policies that will allow mass adoption of wholesale CBDCs around the world. The report offers positive comments about wholesale CBDCs, describing them as a way to modernize financial markets through their transformative potential, but notes that the deep public-private sector collaboration is necessary in order to achieve this. World Economic Forum would like to see the adoption of digital identity networks, and seems pleased with how things have been developing thus so far. 98% of the global economy's central banks are said to be either researching, piloting, or already deploying a CBDC. Wholesale CBDCs are touted as providing a fundamental, essentially, layer for digital payments in the next generation of financial markets, while participations in those markets will be mutualizing data sharing using wholesale CBDCs. As for digital IDs, frameworks, there is the obligatory nod to preserving privacy, with the caveat essentially that will be trade-offs involving preserving privacy and enforcing relative compliance measures. That's because the World Economic Forum is pushing to enhance compliance with KYC, Know Your Customer, AML, anti-money laundering, and CFT, which is the countering the financials of T activities. Regarding programmable payments, the report makes an effort to differentiate between that and programmable money, calling them separate, but just as a concept. In the report from the World Economic Forum, it mentions programmable money, but they changed the word. World Economic Forum says the wholesale CBDC could also support programmable payments, allow participants, including digital CSDs, central securities depositories, and digital asset exchanges, to deliver composable and programmable credit risk-free cash to eliminate counterparty risks. That programmable payments can enhance proof of transaction across authorized parties. So, World Economic Forum, that was from them, their PDF document. This is what the World Economic Forum panel said on an interview. CBDCs will hopefully replace cash. Be 100% digital, World Economic Forum panel. So they went from coexist, CBDCs, digital money will coexist alongside cash, to the World Economic Forum now doing a speech and saying will replace cash. Central bank digital currency CBDCs will hopefully replace physical cash and become fully digital. A central banker tells the World Economic Forum. Speaking at the World Economic Forum special meeting on global collaborations, growth and energy development on Sunday, Central Bank of Bahrain Governor Khalid told the panel, open forum, the digital currency opportunity in the Middle East, that one of the goals of CBDCs was to replace cash, at least in Bahrain, and to go 100% digital. Khalid likened physical cash as being an adequate analog technology, and that CBDCs was the digital solution that would hopefully replace cash. This is what he said, word for word. We're probably going to stop calling it central bank digital currencies. They're going to change the name from CBDCs, central bank digital currencies, because it has this bad taste in everybody's mouth now. When anybody thinks about if you understand what CBDCs are and you think about CBDCs, central bank digital currencies, you think of programmable money, you think of slaves essentially for the government and so on. And they're trying to change the name to give it that positive spin on CBDCs. So they said, we're probably going to stop calling it the central bank digital currency. It's going to be the digital form of cash. Just digital money is what it is. At some point in time, hopefully, we will be able to be 100% digital. Bahrain's central bank governor Khalid said at the World Economic Forum, April 2024. He also went on to say, I think this panel and this opportunity, it forced me to refine my thoughts and opinions, where I'm at a place comfortably now that I'm ready to verbalize what I think about CBDCs. He also said, if we think cash is the analog and digital currencies is the form of digital, CBDCs is the digital form of cash today. Clearly, we're in a hybrid situation. We're using both. And instead, we should essentially be going fully digital. We know in the past, when it comes to cash, central bankers were very much in control with all the aspects of cash. And now we're comfortable to point out where the private sector plays a big role in the printing of cash, in the distribution of cash. And with the private sector, we use interest rates to manage the supply of cash. The same thing is likely to happen with CBDCs. Yes, the central bank will have the role, but at some point in time, the same way we don't call it central bank cash, we're probably going to stop calling it central bank digital currencies and just call it digital money. It's going to be a digital form of cash. And at some point in time, hopefully, we will be able to be 100% digital, he added. When asked how he would convince people that CBDCs would be trusted medium of exchange, Bahrain's central bank governor said, now this is where it also gets extremely interesting, okay? Because I mentioned this a very long time ago in 2023 regarding how COVID was the test foot run for a digital world. It was a test to see if they could get people onto digital passports, if they could get people to comply. And this is what the bank governor of Bahrain said at a World Economic Forum event in April, this month. He already said this. This is what he said. When he was asked the question of, when asked how he would convince people that CBDCs would be a trusted medium of exchange, Bahrain's central bank governor said that the people were already used to it, and that COVID made the digital transformation necessary, and that something of that requirement, and that very little resistance with CBDCs from people. COVID was a test of morons, essentially. I'm very sorry for anybody that did get a vaccination. I have family members that got a vaccination as well. But COVID was a test of morons to see if there's resistance whatsoever. With him, bank governor of Bahrain, at a World Economic Forum event in April that happened yesterday, doing a speech, and he was asked the question of, how would you convince somebody to use CBDCs, even though CBDCs has this bad taste with everybody regarding programmable money, government controlling your digital money, your freedom's going to go away because cash is no longer viable. And he had the cheek to essentially say, with full honesty, that people are used to it. People are used to it. That COVID made the digital transformation necessary, and that's the transformation necessary, and that's something of a requirement that had very little resistance. Very little resistance. COVID was a test. Okay, I'm being very genuinely honest, and I said this in 2023. COVID was a test, and everybody failed. COVID. Do you know how you go to an exam if you're a student in university or college and you go to a test? Well, COVID was a worldwide test for the regular folks, and everybody failed. Everybody failed that test. The COVID test, everybody failed. I'm not saying you failed as in you got the COVID. No, you failed the test as in because of what these words are being sent right now at the World Economic Forum event. Very little resistance was shown to COVID. People are used to going digital. People will be using CBDCs. We will be going fully digital. Remember, before, the World Economic Forum said what? Cash and CBDCs will work alongside each other. Now, the World Economic Forum is saying what? We're going fully digital. What happened to coexist? What happened? Cash and CBDCs will work alongside each other. Yeah. All of that ended very pretty quickly. Very little resistance. He's mocking everybody when he said very little resistance. There's a less and less use of cash. I think the transition to fully digital is not going to be a stretch. Not going to be a stretch. Well, of course not, because everybody failed the COVID test. The majority of the world failed the COVID test. Little resistance. He was genuinely mocking everyone with that word. People are used to it. People have engaged in it, and circumstances did help. Its adoption rate increased because of COVID. Everybody going digital, okay, COVID, and I said this as well, in 2023, I said this, okay? I said the data shows that before COVID, everybody was using cash. Before COVID, everybody was using cash. The majority of the people were using cash before COVID. After COVID, the data shows about 80 to 90% spike on people using Apple Pay, Samsung Pay, Google Pay. So it was a shift from cash to go digital. And the next step from going Apple Pay to Google Pay to CBDCs. They shifted everybody from using cash. And those things that I mentioned in 2023 are being mentioned here one by one. There is a less and less use of cash. I think the transition to fully digital is not going to be a stretch. People are used to it. People have engaged in it, and certain circumstances did help. Its adoption rate increased because of COVID. There is a very little resistance. Again, he's mocking everybody with this. Bahrain's central bank governor Khalid, World Economic Forum, April 2024. There's more. Right now, again, this is word for word. Right now, many of our payments are digital. The truth is, I said that we're in a hybrid model. There's less and less use of cash, said Khalid. I think we're prominently digital with a little physical. I think the transition to fully digital is not going to be a stretch. People are used to it. People have engaged in it. This is where contactless started to become something of a necessity. COVID made contactless something of a necessity, which is facts. Again, this is things I said in 2023, where data shows everybody moved from cash to Apple Pay, Google Pay, Samsung Pay, so on. That was the transition that was needed. The next transition is CBDCs. And he's saying, essentially, this is where contactless, because of COVID, this is where contactless started to become something of a necessity, something of a safety, something of a requirement. And because of that, there is very little resistance. The trust is already there. He added, the trust is already there. Everybody got brainwashed into it. I don't know about trust. Again, word for word. A digital currency will never be as anonymous and as protecting of a privacy in many respects as cash. He's fully on saying a digital currency will never be as anonymous and as protecting of a privacy in many respects as cash, which is why cash will always be around in some sort of places that essentially still accept it. But here's the thing. If we go back to what the World Economic Forum said, the World Economic Forum said essentially that, CBDCs will carry the same amount of privacy. There's nothing wrong with it. The World Economic Forum actually hired 2 MIT students to come out on the news inside of the EU and say that there's nothing wrong with CBDCs. There's no privacy issues with CBDCs. And it's not just the EU doing this. The UK said the exact same thing. There's nothing wrong with CBDCs. There's no privacy issues. America said the same thing. Hong Kong said the same thing. China said the same thing. Japan said the same thing. Nigeria said the same thing. And you see a trend of countries just all coming out one by one and saying there's nothing wrong with CBDCs. There's no privacy issues. Who said we're going to spy on you? Why would you say that? But then you have Mr. Khalid here, bank governor of Bahrain, making a speech at the World Economic Forum in April this month, Sunday, yesterday. Essentially, not yesterday, because it's 1:32 a.m. right now. But in April 2024, on Sunday, making a speech of a digital currency will never be as anonymous and as protecting of a privacy in many respects to cash. European Central Bank President Christine Lagarde, Bank of International Settlements, March 2023. Now, this is from March 2023. So that was 2024. This is March 2023 now. European Central Bank President Christine Lagarde Bank of International Settlements, the banks of all central banks, 63 centralized banks, and including G20 countries. 2023. Meanwhile, European Central Bank President Christian Lagarde has been going around and telling the world, the people of the world, that the digital euro CBDC will not eliminate cash, and that cash would always be an option. Okay, this is what they were saying, word for word in 2023, word for word in the Bank of International Settlements, the banks of all banks, 63 centralized banks, G20 countries, 2023 March, Bank of International Settlements Summit, essentially. Christian Lagarde, president of the Bank of International Settlements, said that meanwhile, the European Central Bank President Christian Lagarde has been going around the world and telling people that the digital euro CBDC will not eliminate cash. Fast forward to 2024, World Economic Forum event, April 2024, the bank governor of Bahrain just coming out and spilling out everything. We're going fully digital. CBDCs will fully take over. COVID was the transition that helped. Everybody moved to contactless. We're moving away from a coexist and hybrid situation, going fully digital. Speaking at the Bank of International Settlements Innovation Summit in March 2023 is when she said that. Lagarde said that the digital currency will never be as anonymous as cash. And for that reason, cash will always be around. That's what he said. They said cash will always be around. But again, fast forward to 2024, April, Bank Governor of Bahrain, cash won't be around. It used to be coexist. It seems like fully digital is the answer. Is it digital euro going to be as private as cash? No, she said. This is back in 2023. A digital currency will never be as anonymous as protecting of privacy in many respects of cash, which is why cash will always be around. This is what she said in 2023. Fast forward to 2024. In the EU, they said there's no privacy issues with CBDCs. Privacy issues? CBDCs? No, not possible. Going back in 2023, Bank of International Settlements, major privacy issues. If people want to use cash in some countries or in some transactions, cash should be available. Again, this is what they said in 2023. A digital currency is an alternative. A digital currency is an alternative, is what they said in 2023. Is another means of payments and will not provide exactly the same level of privacy and anonymity, essentially, of cash, but will pretty close in terms of complete neutrality in relations to that data, she added. They're absolutely full of BS. And do you know what the best part is? I read all of this out in 2023. In 2023, I read this out in 2023 on this live show that I've been doing for over a year now. I read this out on 2023 on this live show. And this live show, we used to do it on TikTok, but because I kept on talking about CBDCs every single night, they banned me on TikTok for talking about CBDCs. So now we do this live show on X and YouTube if you're watching this right now. Because of Elon Musk, I have freedom of speech. I can talk about CBDCs as much as I want and tell the people the truth. So I was reading this out in 2023, and I told everybody in 2023, going into 2024, going beyond, they're lying to you. We're going to be going fully digital. They want people to think. They want people to have the illusion of cash will still be around. And I said to everybody back then, for the longest time I've been saying to everybody, that even now, when you go to a lot of places, they don't accept cash. Even now, we don't even have CBDCs yet being launched to the Western world. And we still have a lot of places day by day not accepting cash. We have a lot of banks closing down their branches, a lot of cash points disappearing. The CBDCs haven't even launched yet. We have cash points disappearing, banks closing down, a lot of places just only accepting card. Everywhere you go, the majority of places you go, sorry, no cash. And then I said to people, so how do you presume we're going to have a coexist of cash and card? Because they're telling you you have an option, but it feels like when the CBDCs come, anywhere you go, they're just going to be telling you essentially you can't. Sorry, sir, no cash. Or sorry, ma'am, no cash. So how do you have the, cash coexisting alongside CBDC? It's just an illusion, I said to people. I said this all in 2023. But now, again, okay, 2017, it gets even better. A World Economic Forum agenda blog post from September 2017. That list is gradual. Obviously seen of paper currency as being categorized, essentially characteristics of a well-designed CBDC. We are at the cups of physical currencies essentially disappearing. You could have a potentially darker world where the government decides that units of central bank money, this is 2017 now, where essentially we can have a darker world where the government decides the units of a central bank money that can be used to purchase some things, but not other things that it deems less desirable, like say ammunition or drugs or any sort of weird stuff, for example, where they start controlling you with CBDCs. World Economic Forum annual meeting of new champions, June 2023. Last year at the World Economic Forum's 14th annual meeting of the new champions, aka Summer Davos, the Davos meeting that they had. In China, Cornell University professor Eswa said that we are at the cusp of physical currency essentially disappearing. This is what they said in June 2023 in the World Economic Forum event. They said, again, this is a university professor, World Economic Forum event, June 2023, talking about how, word for word, we're at the cusp of physical currency essentially disappearing, is what he said 2023 in June, World Economic Forum event. And that programmable CBDCs could take us either to a better or much darker place. I think darker is the answer, not better, regarding CBDCs. If you think about the benefits of digital money, there are huge potential gains, said the professor, adding that it's not just about digital forms of currency. You can have a programmability, units of central bank currency, with expiry dates. The professor said, World Economic Forum, June 2023. You can have a potentially better, or some people might say a darker world, where the government decides the units of the central bank can be used to purchase on what they say can be purchased. The World Economic Forum special meeting on global collaboration, growth and energy development took place from April 27th to 29th in Saudi Arabia. The recent one that took place in Saudi Arabia. So this is the thing that came out of Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia's absolute monarchy restricts almost all political rights and civil liberties, according to the DC-based NGO Freedom House. In the kingdom, no officials at the national level are elected, and that the regime relies on preserved surveillance and criminalization of distant appeals. So essentially for them, it'll be a lot more easier. The control is already there. But everything that I talked about in 2023 is happening one by one. And again, this was a World Economic Forum event that happened April 27th to April 29th, where they talked about we are going fully digital. World Economic Forum, we are going fully digital. COVID helped the world shift into digital. And again, it just baffles. When he was asked the question, when he was asked the bank governor of Bahrain, Khalid, when he was asked the question of would people trust CBDCs? Would it be easy to get the public into CBDCs? He basically said it's easier than you think because people are gullible. And he said that COVID helped a lot. Honestly, as a worldwide type of situation, the majority of the world failed on COVID. Honestly, the majority of the world just failed straight up on COVID. Absolutely. With him just talking, essentially saying there is very little resistance. There was very little resistance on CBDCs. So him presuming there's going to be very little resistance on CBDCs. COVID was a test. The majority of the people failed. And because there was very little resistance, according to him, on COVID, there's going to be very little resistance on CBDCs. So the answer to that is adapt as soon as possible. If you're going to rely on people to stop CBDCs, forget about it. You're going to be left behind for the rest of your life. There's too many morons in this world, and if you're intelligent enough, you realize where the world is shifting towards. The world is shifting towards right now institutions, banks, and regulations. Okay, you want to be into those projects before the bank's money gets allocated into it, before the institutional money gets allocated into it, and you want to be in crypto projects that are going to be positive when things get regulated. But if you're gonna, be into meme coins or try to resist CBDCs, you're gonna be one of those morons who's going to be on CBDCs because you cannot rely on people in this world. Very little resistance when it came to COVID. So he presumes there's going to be very little resistance when it comes to CBDCs. He's not wrong. There's definitely going to be very little resistance when it comes to CBDCs as well. Adapt as soon as possible or get left behind is what I've always said. Adapt as soon as possible or get left behind. Let's go to the comment section. Let's see what the comment section was saying. Also, if you're watching this for the first time ever, welcome to the CMF live show, and where we talk about what's happening around the world, recent news that's happening around the world, and how we're shifting completely into a digital world. According to the World Economic Forum, the Bank of International Settlements, the International Monetary Fund, and many bank governors and institutions, corporations, and also presidents, prime ministers, politicians. Essentially, what projects you should be looking into, essentially. Miles, when you have your latest profile, yep, definitely. I went too far up. Here we go. Facts, my brother. Let's go. Let's go, Billo. What DFOC? I'll tell you. Ian, let's go. Hello, Miles and CMF Coin. Good to see you. How you doing? I passed the test. Let's go, Susie. Miles, can you send me the link for this PDF, please? I'll send you the article. No problem, Shelly. They also lied to us about the jabs, saying it would stop transmission to people if you got it. Yep. Good night, Miles and all CMF. Thank you for the news. JPC tomorrow, but sometimes as usual. I swear that the speech, I saw that speech she made in the EU, Miles. Let's go, Ian. For those of us essential workers that with mortgages, Miles, we don't really have a choice. That's true. Same, Shelly, but we will lie to you. Yeah. I've said this previously as well. Even if you have cryptocurrencies, okay? If you don't have cryptocurrencies, which is your ticket to freedom, if you don't have cryptocurrencies, or if you do have cryptocurrencies, it doesn't really matter. You're still going to get CBDCs, okay? So the money that you have in the bank is going to be CBDCs. Every single person is going to get a CBDC wallet. If you own crypto or if you don't own crypto, you're still going to get CBDC wallets. Now, how you can progress onwards is by at least being inside the crypto space. So I'm fully aware. Essentially, a lot of people are going to be paid their wages in CBDCs, paying their mortgages in CBDCs, and so on. Fully aware of that. That's why I've said for the longest time as well that everybody's going to be in CBDCs. But at least if you have cryptocurrencies, you have the alternative option. That's why I'm saying fully adapt as soon as possible. And remember, crypto is your ticket to freedom. Not all cryptos, please remember that as well. Not the zoo animal tokens, the legitimate projects, or your ticket to freedom. Genuinely, your ticket to freedom. The legitimate ones. But yeah, everybody's going to get a CBDC wallet. But at least if you have cryptocurrencies, you can say, whenever the control starts to weigh in, if they say do this, do that, you can say no thank you, I still have Bitcoin, no thank you, I still have Ethereum, XRP, XLM, XDC, and so on and so on. But if you don't have any of that, and all you do have is CBDCs, it's pretty much game over. But Shelly, you're okay because you have crypto, so you're okay. And I understand regarding the mortgage and so on, because everybody's going to get a CBDC wallet. But you're perfectly good. Same, Shelly, but we were lied to, essential workers, yeah. So you're on the safe side, Shelly. Everybody inside the CMF is on the safe side, but everybody inside the CMF will also get a CBDC wallet. But at least everybody inside the CMF is still on the safe side by being in cryptocurrencies. So, if you enjoyed, good night, Miles and CMF, thank you. Mike, see you tomorrow, but sometimes as usual. We have also come to the endings of this live show as well. If you enjoyed this live show and you're watching it for the first time ever, this was called the CMF live show. This was episode 42. We were live. Right now, we're still live on X and YouTube at the exact same time. And I do this live show every single night, starting at 11:25 p.m. UK time, London time, essentially UK time, 11:25 p.m. every single night. You can tune into this live show on X Live, on YouTube Live, and even communicate inside the comment section. If you're on X or YouTube, the comment section is mixed, as you can see. It's a completely free live show. You can tune in every single night. And everybody's absolutely amazing from the CMF as well. It's called a CMF live show because it stands for Crypto Mouse Family. And I share recent news that's happening around the world. I share PDF documentations. And I share the important news you should know about if you want to be in this digital world moving forward. Things that you should be fully aware of, especially if you're a family person, to safeguard your family for what's about to happen in the future. Take care, Miles and CMF. Ray, see you tomorrow at the same time as usual. So, if you enjoyed this live show and you're watching it for the first time, drop a follow if you're watching on X, drop a follow if you're watching on YouTube, and tune into it every single night on X Live and YouTube Live. And we have come to the endings of this live show. I just want to do the outro of this live show that I normally do, which is thank you so much to everybody that's been tuning in. Thank you so much to everybody from the CMF that's been tuning in, that's been tapping on the screen on X, tapping on the screen on YouTube, and for retweeting this live show as well. Honestly, thank you so much to every single one of you. I will be seeing everybody tomorrow, same timing as usual. Everybody have a great day or a good night, depending on where you're around the world. Good night, everyone. See you tomorrow, or if I see you tomorrow, sometime as usual as well. I'll see everybody tomorrow, same timing as usual. Everybody have a great day or a good night, depending on where you're around the world. Night all. See you tomorrow. Thank you, Miles. Shelley. See you tomorrow, same time as usual. Good night, Miles and CMF. Free and forever. See you tomorrow, same time as usual. Good night, Miles. Abdul. See you tomorrow, same time as usual. Great show tonight, Miles. Good night to everyone. Troy. See you tomorrow, same time as usual. Good night, Miles and all CMF. Emon. See you tomorrow, same time as usual as well. I'll see everybody tomorrow, same time as usual. Honestly, I'll see everybody tomorrow, same time as usual. Everybody have a great day or a good night, depending on where you're around the world. CMF, and genuinely mean it. Thank you so much to everybody that was tapping on the screen on X and YouTube and retweeting this live show on X, because it does grow the family as well. And then we also do have a Telegram group for this live show as well, which is completely free to join. Everything I do is completely free source. And if you want to join a Telegram group of this live show as well, go for it. It's not the link is on my YouTube and on my X profile, so Twitter profile, X profile. Go for it. And email, see you tomorrow, as usual. I'll see everybody tomorrow, same time as usual. Everybody have a great day or good night, depending on where you're around the world. CMF. See you tomorrow.